First question, I think I would like to direct to Delia as well as Tim. And it goes like this. Well, I think we all know people who are raised by single parents, right? And I think there may be some of us among here who are single parents or know people as such, or perhaps we ourselves were raised by single parents as well. Um, and many of them turn out to be just fine. So, what would you have to say to somebody who says that, well, in that case, why do we need marriage and why do children need a mother and a father? So, Delia?
That's a very this question actually reminds me of a question that I encountered from one of our youths at FemChamps as well. So this student asked, and she's only 14 years old, and she said, um, hurt people. So how do you prevent the hurts that have been experienced in your parents' marriage and your parenting, the experience of you being parented by your parents who are struggling into your own marriage and your own journey of parenthood now? And I thought that was a very astute question raised by a 14-year-old. So I find that, in relating to where we see people who have turned out so-called just fine, studies have found that children of divorce actually do develop a greater sense of resilience. And this resilience is actually more a matter of function because they are forced to grow up faster. They are forced to actually take on greater responsibilities at a younger age. And it is meant to be a coping mechanism to adapt to the demands of their family environment. And this is a survival skill, in a sense. But we do need to consider this matter in a more holistic manner. And there are psychological and emotional factors at play as well. And that talks about the well-being of this adult when they enter their own journey, whether in romantic relationships or whether they eventually do get married and parent themselves. Yeah. So if I were to even allude to this whole idea of the concerns around mental health in our society, we are observing more and more people talking about their, the so-called the traumas or like the experiences that they've experienced as a child and where they are now more aware of how these are now impacting the way they relate to others. And in other words, societally, we may think that they are functioning, they are able to be well-adjusted, contributing, responsible adults in the workforce, but they are themselves still figuring out their own emotional and psychological well-being.
The question was, some kids raised in single-parent households can be successful, and therefore, why do we need marriage, right? That's like saying if there are exceptions, then why do we need the norm? Right? You got to think about it structurally. I think, okay, many children raised in single-parent households can grow up to be very successful. That doesn't mean that we overlook and discard the unique and complementary benefits of mothers and fathers. I think the fact that some kids thrive despite coming from single-parent households is a testament to their resilience and the resilience of their parents. But what is incontrovertible is that research shows that a child benefits much more stably, and on average, a child needs a married two-parent household to optimally thrive. Of course, that considers that everything is functioning well in the marriage. One thing that to note is, you see, we keep talking about mothers and fathers being essential, but the social science, right, actually is very cynical about this idea of parenting. Parenting is a modern invention in the social science to justify the lack of need for the mothers and fathers' distinctive contributions. But if you look at the social science literature, what you're going to find is that there is no such thing as parenting. Prior to things like Obergefell, which is a Supreme Court decision in the States, right? It was always referred to as fathering and mothering. And the reason for that is because social scientists recognized via longitudinal studies, super representative, that fathers and mothers bring distinct benefits to the lives of the children. So I would say that parenting and marriage is important because the occasional exceptions that emerge from single-parent homes don't disprove the norm, which is that more often than not, coming from a single-parent household means that, like Delia said earlier, you have a higher hill to climb. And we shouldn't be appealing to exceptional anecdotes in order to justify our wants to reshape social norms. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah.